It's Claire from handmade@hudsons.co.uk, and I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the United Kingdom. And today I wanted to show you cards which I've made using this stamp set, the Lovely Lattice Stamp set. So this is a Sale-a-bration stamp set, and it is free with a £45 spend before postage and packaging until the end of Sale-a-bration, which is the 31st of March. So if you want it, you need to put it in your basket and buy it, or buy something so you can get it free. So the overview of the stamp set is below. I have been absolutely obsessed with using this with embossing powders, but also I have used it with watercolours. I've also used it with the blends and the Stampin' Up markers, as well as the normal ink. So let's take this out of the way and show you what I have made with it. So a while ago, an amazing Australian demonstrator called Kylie Bertucci did a example of watercolouring with white craft ink on Night of Navy cardstock, and this is where I got the inspiration. So I've used Tranquil Tide, which is one of the ink colours which will be retiring at the end of May, and I've also used the Beauty Abound stamp set here, and I have stamped the Lovely Lattice in Versamark ink, and then added white, Whisper White embossing powder, and then I have coloured in using a watercolour watercolour pen, the water pens, sorry I can't think what the name is, one of these, and I have added the white using that. Now I have actually added a few layers of the white, but I think that looks really effective, and I think it looks really rather cute. And then obviously I've heat embossed the embossing powder before I coloured it in, and then on the inside I've got Out of a Whole World of People and the Two Small Flowers in Tranquil Tide. So this sentiment is from the Beauty Abound stamp set, and I think this is a really cute, gorgeous card which you could send to any of your friends. So moving on from that, I decided to do a blue bushel one. Added some vellum. So again, it's stamped in Versamark, and then I added white embossing powder. I have then coloured in slightly parts of it, just the inside, but you can't really see it very well, using the craft white ink. I've added a strip of ribbon, and I've stamped the For You from the Beauty Abounds again. And then I attached the vellum behind. However, it was a bit floaty, it was a bit flappy in the middle. So I have added a glue dot to stop that from moving around. And then again, I have used vellum on this one, and I've stamped in Versamark, added Whisper White embossing powder, and then heat set that. And then I have coloured this in using the Flirty Flamingo, Rich Raspberry, Old Olive and Lemon Lime Twist watercolour pencils. And then I've added it to a border which I created using the stitch shaped rectangles, which is really rather cute. Now I think that's a perfect example of something that's really cute, really simple. And again, I've not added a sentiment so that in the future I can decide what I want to use it for, but I do think that's really rather beautiful. And my next one is rather similar. This was taken from inspiration on Pinterest. So again, I've taken the vellum, I have stamped in Versamark, and I have added white embossing powder. And then I've simply added it to a soft seafoam card base. And again, I've used the rectangles from the stitch shape rectangles to add a border around. And then I've added another little flower here, and that's actually part of the lattice. It's a large, it's part of the lattice, not the small flower. And I just did part of it and then cut it out. Isn't that gorgeous? I do love that. And then my next example is similar but different. So I have taken a card base and cut out a rectangle, and then in that rectangle I've added a sheet of acetate which I have stamped with Vertimark and added silver embossing powder. Now you do need to check that your acetate is heat proof. I had some heat proof acetate in my stock which I got before I joined Stampin' Up, and then I've added another piece of the Blackberry Bliss behind. And then I decided that I wanted to make this a birthday card, so inside I just put happy as a birthdays to you, and that is using, I think it's the Picture Perfect Birthday, and I think that's really rather cute, and I don't think it needs sentiment on the front, and I think that looks beautiful. And then my next one is a bit similar to this but a bit different as well. So this stamp set is from the Part of My Story that's also part of Sale-a-bration. I absolutely adore this stamp set, and this here is one of the easiest things that I love to do. So I have written a blog post on this which is linked in below, and what I have done is I have stamped the whole of the lattice with Vertimark on acetate and then added gold embossing powder. I've heat set it and left it to one side. I've then taken the whole lattice again and stamped it using Sahara sand ink on Whisper White cardstock. And then I've coloured it in using the blends. So the colouring doesn't have to be perfect. You can go outside the lines, because when you add the acetate on top, it will cover that up. So I have used the Bermuda Bay, the dark pool party, the dark Bermuda Bay, and then also Old Olive, might even be Granny Apple Green. I'm not sure, but either one will work. Blends, and then I have added the acetate to the coloured card, and I have stuck it down using little glue dots underneath the centre of the flowers, and then I've taken a 2-inch circle punch and cut out part of the lattice and added it to the front of this card. And then I've also added the sentiment in gold as well. So I've stamped in Vertimark, added gold embossing powder, but I do think that's really rather cute. And again, I made it for a friend who's had a rough week, so this will be going out to her. And this one, I'm not really sure how keen I am on this, but it's an example of what you can do with this. So I have stamped the lattice out in black, coloured it in using the blends, and then I've cut out the whole of the lattice. Then I have added it to a Whisper White cardstock, which I have stamped with Highland Heather, and then I've added Happy Birthday from the Itty Bitty Birthdays stamp set. Isn't that cute? I do adore that. And then the sentiment, I'm not sure about the card. On this one, Night of Navy, I've stamped it in Night of Navy, I've cut it out, and then I have attached it with dimensionals onto a Whisper White piece of paper, and I've also used the ribbon stamp underneath, and I've added Happy Mother's Day, and that comes from Strong and Beautiful, which is an absolutely gorgeous stamp set in the Spring Summer catalogue. Sorry, I knocked my stamp stand then, my camera stand then. And then I've got to confess, I struggled a bit. So I really struggled with the little flower and wasn't really sure what to do with it. So I saw some examples on Pinterest, and I went through and I looked at which examples have got little flowers on. So I came up with this. So this is the Petal Burst embossing folder, and then I've used the little petals here. Then I've coloured it in with the Calypso Coral watercolour pen, and then I've just added some watercolour pencil, sorry. Then I've just added some Stampin' Mark on top, and then also this lemon lime twist as well. And then I've just added a starburst, and this is a 2-inch circle punch. And I've used the thanks from the Beauty Abounds, and I think that's quite a cute, simple, quick, easy card to make. And then this is one that I've already shown on my blog, and I adore this. So again, I've used a sentiment from the Strong and Beautiful stamp set. I have used the small flower all the way around the outside, and I've just stamped it randomly. Then I used the Daffodil Delight blends to colour that in, and I think that looks really rather cute. So these are all my examples using Lovely Lattice. I hope you like them as much as I do. If you've got any questions, you can send me an email. It's claire@handmadeordsons.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching my video today, and I hope to speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye.